In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the radiator on your Ford Focus. Let's get started. You'll find a 7mm bolt for the front fender liner. Remove the screws. Go around the bottom side of the bumper and remove all of the 7mm screws. Remove the Phillips plastic clip. Unscrew the middle. Pop the clip out. There's supposed to be a plastic clip here as well. Remove the splash shield. Disconnect the harness connectors for the fan. Push on the top button and pull the connector back. Pop this one off of the upper radiator support. There's one more under it. The push button is on top. Push on that button, pull up and disconnect. Push that harness to the side. At the top, on either side of the radiator fan, you're going to find these locking tabs. Push back and then pull up on the fan. And they'll unlock and you can lift the fan up. Do this on both sides. Make sure both sides are lifted up and out. And we're going to drop the fan down out of the car. Tilt the fan slightly back. Work it around all of the hoses and remove it from the car. We're going to start to drain the coolant. To do this, open the petcock on the radiator. This is on the bottom left. Open this and allow the radiator to drain. Before you open this, be sure that you have a collection bucket under you. Remove the radiator cap. This is going to make our coolant drain a lot faster. Using a pair of pliers, we're going to pinch the clamp for the upper radiator hose and slide it down the hose. Pinch the clamp and pull it back. Pull the upper hose off of the radiator. I'm going to pull the hose up and out of the way. Using a pair of pliers, pinch the clamp for the lower radiator hose. Pinch the clamp and pull it back. Remove the lower radiator hose. Be sure you have a bucket. Pull the hose out of the way. Close the radiator drain. Install the cap. Remove the connector for the horn. There's a push button on top. Push down on that. Remove the connector. There's a plastic stay on the side. We're going to pop that out using a trim tool. Pull the harness to the front out of the way. We're going to remove the four 10mm bolts for the lower radiator support. There will be 2 on either side. Before removing the bolts for the lower radiator support, I'm going to install a pole jack under the support. When you remove the bolts, it'll drop down. We're going to have this here to hold it. Do the same thing on the other side. Remove the bolts. I'm going to lift up on the radiator condenser. As I do that, I'm going to remove the lower radiator support. Work the support out. I'm going to try and get the top grommets lined back up and then put my jack under the condenser, not putting any weight on it, just there as a hold. On either side, there's going to be these locking clips for the condenser. We're going to lift up on the tab and pull the transmission cooler up out. On the bottom of either side of the condenser, there's these plastic clips. We're going to slightly open these clips up, and as we do, we're going to push our condenser out. We want to push it towards the passenger side, working it out of the clips, just like that. Once you have it worked out of the clips, pull it towards the front of the car and slide it down in front of the radiator. Use a jack to hold the condenser so it doesn't fall. On either side of the radiator, you'll find these locking tabs for the transmission cooler. We're going to open this tab, pulling it towards the front of the vehicle. And then we're going to push the transmission cooler up and out of the bracket. Do this on either side. Once you have both sides disconnected, we're going to try and rest it on our jack. Remove the radiator. Remove the grommets on the top and bottom and on either side of the old radiator. Install the grommets onto the top and bottom of the radiator. Do the same thing on the other side. Inside the radiator kit, you're going to find these dummy plugs. There is an instruction form detailing which models will need these dummy plugs. On our 06, We're going to be installing these. We're going to install them onto the 2 ports. These are unused on our year. We also have clamps. Installed these over the plugs. And using a Phillips head or flathead screwdriver, snug them down. Make sure they're nice and tight. And we're ready to install our radiator. Install the radiator up into place. When we install the lower radiator bracket, we're going to push the radiator up into a slot, make sure that the grommet is inside of the hole. Install the transmission cooler onto the radiator. We're going to install the condenser onto the radiator brackets. Push the condenser up and into place on both the top and bottom brackets. We're going to lock the condenser into the brackets by pushing it towards the driver's side. Push the condenser all the way over until it snaps into place on these tabs. Starting on the passenger side, we're going to install the lower radiator bracket. Fish it through the hoses. Twist it to the side. Get it lined up on the driver's side as well. Line up the grommets on the bottom. Push the bracket up into it. I'm going to push the assembly up and then use my jack to hold it up there while I install the bolts. Install the bolts for the lower radiator bracket. Remove the jack. Install the lower radiator hose onto the radiator. Pinch the clamp, pull it back into position. Install the plastic stay for the horn harness. Install the connector onto the horn. Push until you hear a click. If you don't hear a click, pull on the connector, make sure it's locked on. Install the upper radiator hose onto the radiator. Pinch the clamp and move it back to its original position. Make sure the hose is fully seated. Install the radiator fan up into the vehicle. Be sure that the fan locks into the locking tabs on either side on the radiator. Install the plastic connector stay onto the upper radiator support. Pull the harness over. Install the connector. Push until you hear a click. If you don't hear a click, give it a pull. Make sure it's locked on. There's one more connector down here. Same thing, push until you hear a click. If you don't hear a click, give it a pull, make sure it's locked on. Install the splash shield. Be sure it's sitting up inside of the bumper. Go around and get all of the screws started. Get the bolts started and snug them down. We have two more on the back side for the fender liner. Install the bolts on either side for the fender liner to the splash shield. Snug them down. Install the plastic clip in the bottom of the splash shield. There's supposed to be a plastic clip here as well. Remove the cap for the coolant reservoir. I'm going to install an adapter for a coolant funnel. Fill the reservoir until it's at the max line. Remove the funnel. Install the cap. Start and run the engine. Hold it at 2,500 RPM for approximately 8 minutes until the thermostat opens, then for another 3 minutes after the thermostat opens. Increase the engine speed to 4,000 RPM and hold for 5 seconds. Return the engine speed to 2500 RPM and hold for another 3 minutes. Shut the engine off and allow it to cool. Check the engine for any leaks. Check the coolant level in the expansion tank and fill as necessary.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.